Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not here to prove or debunk anything. Instead, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the anatomy of a conspiracy theory itself. We're going to deconstruct these hidden stories, piece by piece, to really understand how they're built and, maybe more importantly, why they're so powerful. Okay, let's dive in. You know the names, right? Those whispers that hint at something bigger going on beneath the surface. It usually starts with something we know is real, like MKUltra, the CIA's actual documented mind control program. It just immediately blurs that line between fact and fiction. And then it expands, it gets bigger. You start hearing tales of powerful secret societies, these ancient groups that are supposedly operating in the shadows, pulling the strings of history. From there, things can get really wild, exploding into these huge, mind-bending ideas like simulation theory. I mean, that's the ultimate paranoia, right? The idea that our entire reality is just some kind of advanced computer program. And it all comes together in modern ideas like the deep state, this notion of a hidden, permanent government that's really in charge, no matter who you vote for. So you have all these ingredients, but how do they get cooked into a story? And that is the big question we're tackling today. Because it turns out most of these massive, sprawling narratives, they're actually built from the same fundamental blueprint. They use just a few key components, so let's break them down. First up, you have the spark. Every single theory, no matter how big or small, begins right here. It starts with an anomaly, a loose thread, a piece of the puzzle that just doesn't quite fit the official story we've all been told. Take the Roswell incident. This is a classic. In 1947, the US military puts out a press release saying they've recovered a flying disc. Wow. But then, literally the next day, they walk it back. Oh, never mind, it was just a weather balloon. Fast forward decades, and the story changes again. Okay, actually, it was a top-secret spy balloon. You see, when the official story keeps changing, it creates this vacuum of trust. And inside that vacuum, 1,000 other theories can start to grow. Here's another perfect example of one of these sparks. On 9/11, we all saw the Twin Towers fall after being hit by planes. But then, hours later, a third skyscraper, Building 7, just collapses perfectly right into its own footprint. And it was never hit by a plane. For a lot of people, the official reason, fire damage, it just doesn't seem to add up, not for that kind of collapse. And this is the power of an anomaly. It's an event that seems to defy the story we were given, and it practically begs for an alternative explanation. Okay, so that initial spark, that crack in the official story, it creates a void. It asks a what if, but it doesn't give an answer. So to fill that void, the theory needs its next essential ingredient, a villain. You need someone to blame, a powerful, secret group working behind the scenes, pulling the strings. And what's so fascinating is that this idea of a hidden elite is nothing new. Way back in 1928, Edward Bernays, who's basically the father of public relations, he wrote about an invisible government that intelligently manipulates the public. Now, he saw it as just a normal part of democracy. But for a theorist, a quote like this is gold. It's proof that a hidden power structure isn't just a fantasy, it's a documented reality. And that invisible government can wear a lot of different masks, right? It could be an ancient secret society like the Illuminati, blamed for everything from the French Revolution to JFK. Or it could be a modern gathering of elites like the Bilderberg Group. It could even be a bizarre secretive men's club like Bohemian Grove, or, an ancient race of aliens like the Anunnaki. The specific villain changes, but the pattern is always the same. A powerful group is secretly in charge. So you've got your spark, you've got your villains. Now for the next step. You have to build the plot. And this is where the real detective work begins. It's all about weaving together seemingly random events, symbols, and bits of information into one single overarching story that reveals the grand conspiracy. Think about the JFK assassination again. Theorists don't just stop at the magic bullet. No, they connect the dots between the CIA's documented plots with the mafia, the dozens of mysterious deaths of witnesses in the years after, and the actions of powerful people. Or look at modern media. They'll connect all the occult symbols you see in movies and music videos to some bigger agenda of social programming. It's all about finding that hidden pattern nobody else sees. And some of these plots get incredibly detailed and specific. Take this theory of demonic memory erasure. It lays out a clear 3-step process. Step 1, create or exploit a major crisis. Step 2, use the emergency broadcast to transmit special, hidden frequencies. And step 3, the result is a mass memory wipe, changing how we all remember what happened. You see, it's a perfect example of how a theory creates a specific mechanism, a logical sequence, to explain what they see as an anomaly. All right, now we get to the final act, the grand finale for so many of the biggest conspiracy theories. The plot escalates. It goes beyond just controlling events or politics. The ultimate revelation is that the conspiracy isn't just about controlling the world, it's about controlling reality itself. This is where you get mind-blowing concepts like the simulation hypothesis. I mean, it's the ultimate conspiracy, isn't it? That all of us, everything we see, is just part of a sophisticated computer program. And people who believe this, they'll point to things like recurring mathematical formulas found in totally separate ancient civilizations and say, that's not a coincidence. Those are breadcrumbs, clues left behind by the programmers. And a huge theory like this offers a neat explanation for all the little glitches we experience in daily life. Have you ever been absolutely positive you remember something one way, only to find out you're wrong, along with thousands of other people? That's the Mandela effect. Theorists might say that's proof our timeline was altered. Or the idea of dimensional blending, that those weird little memory glitches happen when you momentarily swap places with another version of yourself from a parallel universe. It's how the biggest deceptions explain the smallest inconsistencies. So we've laid out the building blocks. You have the spark, the villains, the plot, and finally, the grand revolution. But that brings us to the biggest and maybe the most important question of all. Why? Why do we find these stories so compelling? What is their secret sauce? Well, psychologically, it actually makes a ton of sense. The world can feel chaotic and random, and a conspiracy theory offers a simple, easy-to-understand explanation. It gives you a clear enemy to blame, which can make you feel a little more in control. It also creates a powerful sense of community with others who believe they share this secret knowledge. But here's the absolute kicker. This skepticism is constantly validated by history. We know for a fact the government has lied. We know about MK Ultra. We know about Operation Mockingbird. When you've been lied to before, it's a whole lot easier to believe you're being lied to again. Which brings us right back to Edward Bernays. This quote from his book is just so chilling because he says it right out in the open. Manipulating the public isn't some fringe theory, it's a documented strategy, one that some people think is essential to how society works. And that right there, that's the bedrock on which all of this skepticism is built. So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. We live in an age where deception is a proven fact. Secret programs get declassified, official stories fall apart. Knowing all of that, where do we draw the line? What's the difference between healthy skepticism and falling down a rabbit hole for a false story? That's something we all have to figure out for ourselves.